Welcome to our masterclass on hotel revenue strategy. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and take a really deep dive into what truly makes a modern hotel not just run, but run profitably.
Hello, and welcome. I'll be your guide for this session. I spend my days focused on how data and AI can sharpen hotel operations, and I'm honestly thrilled to walk you through this critical topic today.
And I want to give a special welcome to all the students from Europe Hotel School. We are so happy to be a part of your online learning journey as you get ready for an amazing career in this incredibly dynamic industry.
Our goal here is pretty simple. We want to give you practical knowledge you can actually put to use, the kind of stuff that's based on real-world industry experience and smart, data-driven practices.
Okay, let's dive right in. First, we'll start with the absolute foundation of revenue. Then, we'll look beyond the guest room to other income streams. After that, we'll get into how to measure what each department truly contributes, and, this is key, how that data can fuel incredible teamwork. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with your main strategic takeaway.
So, first up, the revenue foundation. Think about it. Every great hotel is built on a solid financial base, and that base always begins with its primary source of income, the rooms themselves.
Now, the reason for this is so critical. Room operations have much lower variable costs than, say, a busy restaurant. This means more of every single dollar earned from a room goes directly to covering the hotel's fixed costs and, of course, generating profit. That powerful little metric is what we call a strong contribution margin, and it's precisely why room revenue is the bedrock of a hotel's financial health.
And this foundational revenue, it's all driven by three core metrics that you will be living and breathing every single day. First, occupancy. That's how many rooms you've sold. Second, your average daily rate, or ADR, the average price you sold them for. And third, length of stay, which has a huge influence on both. Mastering the delicate balance between these three is really the first big step to financial success.
But let's be real. A successful hotel is so much more than just rooms, right? So now we're going to explore those other crucial revenue streams that create a full guest experience and, ultimately, a much stronger business model. You can really think of this in two major buckets. On one hand, you've got food and beverage. It's absolutely vital for guest satisfaction, but it comes with a big challenge: higher operating costs. Then you have your ancillary services, things like the spa, parking, you name it. These are what make your property unique, but they have to be a core part of your strategy from day one, not just some afterthought.
And this chart, wow, this really tells the whole story, doesn't it? A restaurant might be bringing in huge amounts of revenue, but because of those high costs for food and labor, its actual contribution to the bottom line, its contribution margin, is often way lower than a guest room's. It's still incredibly valuable, but it demands really precise management.
At the same time, we're seeing this explosion in ancillary services. You know, modern hotels aren't just in the business of selling rooms anymore. They're offering incredible spa services, wellness programs, curated local excursions. These aren't just nice-to-haves anymore. They are strategic moves to increase what each guest spends and, just as importantly, to define the hotel's unique brand.
Okay, so this brings us to a really crucial concept. How in the world do we make sense of all these different departments, with all their different cost structures and revenue potentials? We need a single, unifying metric for performance, and that's where we get into measuring true contribution. And the answer is a metric called departmental contribution. It's actually a pretty simple idea. Instead of just looking at the top-line revenue, we measure how much profit each department adds to the pot after it has covered all of its own direct costs. This gives you a true apples-to-apples comparison of how every part of your hotel is really performing.
And this is exactly why it is so powerful. You could have a department that, on the surface, looks like an absolute superstar because it brings in a ton of revenue. But if its contribution is weak, it could actually be draining resources from the rest of the hotel. This metric forces leadership to ask those tough questions and focus on what really matters: true profitability.
And here's the thing. This isn't just some number that lives in a spreadsheet in the finance office. When everyone, from sales to operations to marketing, understands contribution, you create a massive collaborative advantage. Data stops being a boring report and starts becoming the fuel for real teamwork.
Suddenly, the path forward becomes incredibly clear. First, you analyze the contribution data together. Based on that, you align the goals for all your departments. Then, the real magic happens. You can develop smart, profitable packages, like a spa and room bundle that's a win for both departments. And finally,
You measure the total impact, which kicks off a cycle of continuous improvement.
So let's bring this all together. What is your key strategic takeaway? How do we move from all this analysis to real, meaningful action?
The ultimate lesson, the one thing I really want you to remember is this. Success isn't about maximizing room revenue at all costs or F&B revenue in a silo. It is about optimizing the entire business. It's about understanding how each and every piece contributes to the overall financial health of the whole operation.
So I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on, something to take back to your own teams and discussions. Picture this scenario. Your hotel's restaurant is packed every single night. The revenue it's generating looks amazing on paper. But then you look at the financial statement and see its contribution is low. What is the very first question you ask your team to start unpacking and solving that problem? Give that some thought.